My husband ruined our daughter's biggest day with a single sentence, and I knew instantly he hadn't made that announcement for honesty. He'd done it for an audience. What he didn't know was that I had come prepared for the final act he never saw coming. My name is Miriam, 42, mother of one, and, according to almost everyone, we were the perfect little family. And for a long time, I believed that too. My husband, Imran, had always been charming. The type who knew exactly what to say in front of people, the type who remembered anniversaries only if someone else reminded him, the type who treated me like a decorative piece in his life instead of a partner. But I tolerated it. Not because I was weak, but because I wanted our daughter, Aisha, to grow up in stability. That stability shattered long before graduation day. The late-night business calls, the secretive texts, the sudden gym obsession, his excuses were so repetitive they became white noise. I never confronted him. Not yet. Because the day he stopped hiding his contempt was the day I started planning. Graduation day was supposed to be Aisha's moment. She had worked for years, sleepless nights, endless assignments, to earn that cap and gown. She deserved applause, not chaos. But Imran had other plans. The ceremony ended beautifully. Families hugged, pictures were taken, proud parents beamed with joy. And then, as we stood outside the auditorium surrounded by hundreds of people, he stepped forward like an actor hitting his mark. He cleared his throat loudly, too loudly, gathering attention from nearby families. "I think this is the right moment," he said, pretending to be emotional. "I'm leaving Miriam. I've been unhappy for years." The world stopped. Not because of what he said, but when he said it. Aisha gasped. People turned. Some stared, some looked away awkwardly. Cameras were still in hands, some recording. Imran wasn't breaking up a marriage. He was performing a heroic exit. Making himself the brave, suffering man. Making me the cold, failing wife. Making our daughter's proud day all about him. At that moment, he expected me to cry, to plead, to fall apart so he could play the victim-turned-liberated hero. But I didn't. I simply stared at him, quiet, unnervingly calm. Because if Imran chose this day, this crowd, this humiliation, then he had unknowingly chosen the exact place where his entire facade would collapse. I saw it in the corner of his eye, the first flicker of unease. He had no idea what I was about to reveal. If I'm being honest, the red flags didn't start recently. They had been flickering for years, dim at first, barely noticeable, then brighter, louder, impossible to ignore. It began with favoritism, the kind that chipped away at my dignity little by little. Imran wasn't affectionate with me, but with others, coworkers, friends, clients, he had endless charm. He'd turn on that smile that once made me fall for him, but now it was reserved for everyone except his own wife. If I asked him why he barely spoke to me at home, he'd shrug. Busy day. But he somehow had the energy to send late-night voice notes to colleagues that made him laugh. Then came the phone calls. At first they were normal, everyone has work calls. But with Imran, the timing was always suspicious. Always at night. Always in another room. Always ending with him returning with a content expression he never showed me. When I'd walk in unexpectedly, he'd flinch. Hide the screen. Turn the phone face down. Pretend he had been reading emails. The lies were small at first. A meeting that didn't exist. A late night project that his manager later casually told me finished weeks earlier. A random withdrawal from our joint account he blamed on maintenance bills that somehow never appeared. Still, I told myself, maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe he's just stressed. But the truth was harsher. I was convincing myself to stay calm because I didn't want Aisha to see her family unravel. Then came the money issue, the one I couldn't explain away. One afternoon, I checked our bank statements. Imran never let me look at them, but he'd accidentally left the login saved. Nearly 800,000 rupees was missing. Gone. Transferred in chunks over the last 6 months. I stared at the numbers, heart sinking, throat tightening. When I confronted him, he barely blinked. It's investments, he said. Don't worry about it. He said it like I was a child asking why the sky was blue. No details. No explanation. No receipts. Just that dismissive tone that always meant, stop asking questions. And then came the ultimate quiet cruelty, his treatment of Aisha. He used to be her hero. She adored him. But lately, he'd been distant with her too. Missing parent-teacher meetings. Skipping her performances. Forgetting to congratulate her on achievements he once bragged about. I saw the confusion in her eyes, the silent pain of a daughter trying to understand why her father suddenly treated her accomplishments like interruptions. And although I held myself together in front of her, behind closed doors, I cracked. Nights became battles between wanting to scream and forcing myself to remain composed. Days became rehearsals for strength I didn't always feel. Something was wrong with Imran, deeply wrong. And, while I couldn't yet prove anything, I knew the man standing next to me at graduation wasn't the man I married. Part 3 would reveal just how far the betrayal went. The night I finally learned the truth was the night everything inside me broke. It happened 3 weeks before Aisha's graduation, 3 weeks before Imran humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. And it began with a simple, stupid mistake on his part. He left his laptop open. Imran never left his devices unlocked. His phone, laptop, tablet, everything had passwords. Extra passwords. Backup passwords. He guarded them like his life depended on it. So when I passed by his study and saw the laptop screen glowing, a chat window still open, my heart stuttered. Not out of curiosity, out of fear. Because deep down, I already knew what I was about to find. The messages weren't vague. They weren't innocent. They weren't colleague conversations or business talk. They were explicit, intimate, and worst of all, familiar. He had been cheating on me. Not with one woman. Not with a stranger. But with someone we both knew. Her name stared back at me like poison on the screen. Rita Redheart, Aisha's school counselor. A woman I had trusted. A woman who had sat in my living room for tea. A woman who told me she was always there for Aisha. The chats were months long. Plans. Late-night messages. Pictures. Voice notes. Confessions of love from both sides. And then I saw the part that made my knees give out. Rita, so when will you tell her? Imran, soon. Graduation day is perfect. She won't make a scene in public. Rita, good. Once she's out of the way, everything becomes easier. Out of the way. Easier. Like I was an obstacle. Like I was some old furniture he needed to dispose of. My vision blurred as I scrolled. There were more messages. About money. About our future. About the transfers he had made for the new apartment. My money. Our savings. Aisha's university fund. Used to build a life with another woman. I felt something inside me shatter. Not loudly, quietly, painfully. The kind of break that leaves permanent cracks. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there, staring at the truth I had suspected but desperately hoped wasn't real. My marriage, years of loyalty, sacrifices, patience, had been turned into a script he performed around other women. The heartbreak came first. A raw, suffocating grief. Then came rage. A blinding, electric rage that made my hands shake. But disbelief, that was the worst part. How long had he been planning to leave? How long had he been rehearsing the breakup speech? How long had he been preparing to humiliate me publicly? And then the fear melted away, replaced by something colder, sharper. Resolve. Because if Imran wanted to make a spectacle, if he wanted an audience, if he wanted to expose me at graduation, then he had no idea the storm I was preparing for him. He wouldn't just lose me. He'd lose everything. The night I discovered the messages, I felt like a ghost in my own home. I walked to our bedroom on autopilot, my hands cold, my thoughts scattered like broken glass. Imran was asleep, peacefully, comfortably, while my world was collapsing inches away from him. I watched him for a long moment. This man. This stranger. This liar who had planned my humiliation with the same calmness he used to tie his shoelaces. A wave of heartbreak surged through me so strong I thought I would explode. But then something unexpected happened. I didn't cry. Not one tear. Because in those seconds of staring at him, something inside me shifted. For years, I had carried our marriage on my back, his moods, his excuses, his disappointments. I had forgiven lies, overlooked neglect, swallowed insults he disguised as jokes. And for what? For him to repay me with betrayal funded by my own hard-earned savings? No, not anymore. The turning point didn't come from anger. It came from clarity. A sudden, sharp, bone-deep realization. I deserved better. Aisha deserved better. And he deserved consequences. For the first time in years, I saw Imran not as my husband, but as the man who had treated me like a placeholder in his life. Someone he thought he could discard at the exact moment it inconvenienced him. I walked out of the room. Quietly. Carefully. Almost ceremonially. And I sat in the living room, breathing deeply until the pieces inside me began rearranging themselves, not into who I had been, but into who I needed to become. My heartbreak didn't vanish. It hardened. Every red flag, every lie, every cold shoulder replayed in my mind like a documentary of my own foolish patience. For the first time, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of how badly he had treated me, not just recently, but for years. And then the moment came. The one that changed everything. Aisha walked in quietly. She had woken up for water and found me sitting there, shaking. "Amy, are you okay?" Her voice cracked something open in me. Not tears. Strength. Because all I could think was, if I let Imran walk over me, I'm teaching my daughter that she should accept the same. "No," I whispered. "But I will be." I hugged her tightly, inhaling the scent of the child I had protected all her life. The child he was willing to hurt for his selfish desires. Right then, holding her, I made my decision. I wouldn't confront Imran yet. I wouldn't warn him. I wouldn't give him a chance to cover his tracks. I would let him continue believing he was winning. Let him prepare for his dramatic, public exit. Because on graduation day, when he expected me to crumble in front of everyone, I would shatter his entire illusion instead. Not with anger, but with evidence. With truth. With a calmness more terrifying than any scream. A new version of me was born that night. Not broken. Not helpless. But ready. For the next 2 weeks my life narrowed to a single, precise mission. Convert the chaos Imran created into an undeniable record of his lies, and time the reveal so perfectly that there would be no room for his theatrics. Step 1. Collect the receipts. I started with the obvious: bank statements, transfer records, screenshots of the withdrawals I'd found. I made neat, dated folders on my laptop and printed everything twice. Paper has a way of looking more real than a glowing screen, and I wanted proof that would survive excuses. Step 2. Preserve the conversations. Imran had left his laptop open once. I'd never make that mistake again. I copied the incriminating chats, every loving line, every plan for after. I saved them as PDFs, backed them up to a thumb drive, and emailed a copy to a secure, throwaway account only I could access. I also converted the messages into a timeline, dates, times, screenshots, so they couldn't be dismissed as out-of-context flirtations. Step 3. Follow the money legally. I quietly visited the bank branch using my identity documents and requested full statements for months. I flagged the suspicious transfers and printed official transaction slips. No rumors, only bank paperwork that showed where our savings had gone and when. Step 4. Solidify allies. I didn't want to be loud, I wanted to be credible. I confided in 2 people I trusted completely, my sister and Mrs. Farouk, Aisha's teacher, a careful choice, someone who cared about my daughter and kept her head down. They agreed to stand by us, to testify if needed, and to be present at the graduation in unassuming clothes. Discreet support matters more than dramatic allies. Step 5. Prepare the trap. Imran loved spectacle, so I built something quieter but unassailable. I arranged for a neutral witness to sit close by with a camera, someone who could verify the moment facts were presented. I also prepared a folder labeled simply, "For the family." Inside, the timeline, printed chats, bank slips, and a short, calm statement I could read aloud if the moment demanded it. But I didn't stop there. I let him keep playing the hero. I overheard him practicing the speech in front of the mirror, maudlin, dramatic, full of self-pity. He believed he'd chosen the perfect stage. While he rehearsed his escape, I sharpened mine. I rehearsed my own voice, steady, unshakable. I planned the exact point during the post-ceremony chaos when I would hand the folder to a family member and say only 3 words, "Read this now." No shouting. No collapsing. Just facts, delivered as calmly as a judge's verdict. The tension built like pressure in a kettle. Imran floated through our days with that smug, untouchable air, blissfully certain of his win. I watched him from the edge, patient as a predator, knowing the real danger for him wasn't spectacle but truth. Graduation drew closer. The trap was set. The family, blindfolded by his charm, still believed they were watching his brave exit. They didn't know the hand I held would be the one to rip off the blindfold. Graduation day arrived warm and bright, deceptively peaceful, like the calm before a monsoon that wipes out entire villages. Aisha looked stunning in her cap and gown, her eyes full of excitement. I held her close, memorizing her joy. She deserved every bit of it. And nothing, not even Imran's drama, was going to take this moment from her. The ceremony went smoothly. Families clapped, students tossed caps, parents took 1,000 photos. And then, as expected, Imran made his move. He stepped forward, placing a hand on Aisha's shoulder like he owned pride itself. "I have something important to say," he announced loudly, too loudly, ensuring dozens of heads turned. I felt Aisha tense beside me. She didn't know what was coming. But I did. He straightened up, voice dripping with false sorrow. "I'm leaving Mariam," he declared, hand on his heart like he was some tragic hero. "I've been unhappy for years. It's time for honesty." Gasps rippled around us. People stared, some out of curiosity, some out of pity. A few even lifted their phones. Exactly what he wanted. He turned to me with a rehearsed expression of regret, clearly expecting me to shake, cry, or plead. Instead, I stayed perfectly still. And that's when I saw it, that brief flicker of confusion in his eyes. Good. The moment had arrived. Calmly, I reached into my bag and handed the thick, sealed folder labeled "For the Family" to his eldest sister, standing only a few feet away. "Auntie," I said softly but clearly. "Please read this." She frowned. "What is just read?" I said. "All of you should." By then, his parents, siblings, cousins, everyone were already gathering around her, drawn by curiosity and mild panic. Imran's smile wavered. "Mariam," he hissed under his breath, "not here." "Oh," I whispered back, "exactly here." Auntie opened the folder. The first page was the printed screenshots, his chats with Rita. The ones where they planned to replace me. The ones where he chose graduation day for maximum humiliation. She froze. Her face drained of color. Then she flipped to the bank statements, the missing 800,000 rupees, the transfers to Rita, the new apartment. Someone gasped loudly. Someone else cursed under their breath. His mother slapped her own forehead. "Ya Allah, ya kia kardia tum? What is this nonsense?" Imran snapped, suddenly sweating. "These are fake." Auntie shouted, waving the documents. "Your name is on every transfer. Your messages. Your plans." A crowd had formed. Students. Parents. Teachers. Phones recording. Imran tried grabbing the papers, but his brother shoved him back. "You were cheating? Using family savings? Planning to abandon your wife publicly? At our niece's graduation." Even Aisha, trembling, stepped behind me. That broke him. He lunged toward me, panic finally overwhelming arrogance. "What did you do?" I stepped aside. Calm. Untouchable. "I just told the truth," I said. "You chose the stage. I chose the spotlight." His voice cracked into a scream. "You ruined everything." I tilted my head. "No, Imran. You did. I just made sure everyone heard the full version." He tried to speak again, but a cluster of family members pulled him away, some furious, some disgusted. Phones kept recording. His humiliation was complete. And as Aisha held my hand, tears in her eyes, I whispered, "It's over, Beta. He'll never hurt us again." The storm had hit. And Imran? He was the only one left standing in the rain. The fallout began before we even left the school grounds. Imran's family, once blind supporters, wanted nothing to do with him. His mother cried, calling him Nashukra, ungrateful. His father refused to speak to him. Two cousins deleted photos with him on the spot, embarrassed to be associated with him after the public spectacle. And the cameras. They captured everything. His dramatic speech. My calm reveal. His meltdown. By evening, the videos were already circulating through community WhatsApp groups. Teachers, parents, neighbors, they had all seen the truth. His heroic, "I'm leaving my wife for honesty" performance had collapsed under the weight of cold, undeniable evidence. Within a week, Imran's life crumbled. Rida? Gone. The moment the video reached her school, she was called in for a disciplinary meeting. 2 days later, she resigned. 3 days later, she blocked Imran on every platform. She hadn't expected to be exposed publicly. She hadn't expected her name to be attached to a scandal involving a student's mother. And she definitely hadn't expected the bank transfers to implicate her financially. Imran called her dozens of times. She never picked up. His job? Shaking. HR contacted him after the scandal gained attention. His late-night projects suddenly came under review. His reputation, once polished, now looked rotten. When people see you're in public, they begin questioning everything you've ever done in private. He became a liability. His finances? Destroyed. I filed a case for financial misconduct, spousal fraud, and theft of joint funds. With the evidence I presented, especially the bank transfers, the judge granted an immediate freeze order on his personal accounts. When Imran tried to withdraw money, he discovered he couldn't even access a single rupee. For the first time, he was powerless. Aisha? Flourishing. She started university with scholarships, support, and confidence. She told me one night, "Amy, watching you stand strong that day taught me more than any class ever will." Her words healed something in me I didn't know was still bleeding. Me? Free. For the first time in years, my home felt peaceful. No secretive calls. No hidden lies. No tension lingering in the walls. People stopped me at shops, in the street, even outside Aisha's university, saying, "You handled everything with so much grace. You didn't lose control, you took control. You showed the entire community what dignity looks like." And, maybe for the first time, I believed it. Imran, meanwhile, lives in a small rented room now. Word is he's drowning in debt, avoiding relatives, and angry at the whole world. He still blames me. Of course he does. People like him never take responsibility. But here's the truth. I didn't destroy him. I simply stopped protecting him from the destruction he built with his own hands. And to everyone watching this, have you ever faced betrayal from someone who thought you'd stay silent? Tell me your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more real stories of justice, strength, and karma hitting at full force, make sure you subscribe. Because remember, when the truth finally speaks, even the loudest liars fall silent.